Fonio II is making racing headlines of his own. This season, driving for American road racing legend Dan Gurney, Fonio has piloted his Toyota to 5 IMSA Camel GT wins, including 3 straight. The most recent victory just 7 days ago at Laguna Seca vaulted Fonio to the top of the Camel GT Points Championship.
Win the GTP Championship is very important. I think it's important to win races, but you need to look behind and you need to see that you have your job done. And if you can see a GTP Championship in your background, that will make you feel very good, not only to yourself, also to the full team that is working very hard for it.
The man Fonio passed is young American Davy Jones. He has no famous racing lineage, just an unquenchable thirst to win and a heavy right foot. Pushing his state-of-the-art Jaguar to the ragged edge, Jones has tallied 2 impressive wins. That all-out style has also caused valuable championship points to slip from his grasp. This weekend, he must stem the Toyota tide. Because like Fonio, Jones knows this season marks his best chance at a first major racing championship.
This is our 5th year in the Camel GTP Championship, and this is really the year that we put forward to give it our absolute best. And, you know, to win a championship would really, to me, would be the greatest relief, not only of pressure, but you know, just, I would be so happy inside to be able to do it for everybody that's involved at the Bud Light Jaguar effort.
It's Fonio versus Jones. The battle for the Camel GT title is rejoined today in Portland. ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. Today, live from Portland International Raceway, is the G.I. Joe's IMSA Camel Grand Prix presented by Nissan. And we have nearly perfect weather here in Portland with warm temperatures but a cool breeze and hardly a cloud in the sky. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins. Welcome to Portland and some IMSA racing for you this afternoon here on ESPN. The GTP division has a tremendous points battle going on. Juan Manuel Fonio is now on top of the point standings. He won his 3rd in a row at Laguna Seca just last weekend and knocked Davy Jones off the top. Jeff Braam, the defending GTP champion, is 3rd in the point standings, followed by P.J. Jones and Oscar Lorari. So, Derek Daly, we have set up here again today a battle between Toyota and Jaguar.
That's right. I think we have an unusual situation developing here in the Camel GT Championship. And I think it puts more pressure on Davy Jones the faster the Toyota goes. Because when Jaguar brought this state-of-the-art car over, people threw their hands in the air and said, that's it, championship is over, Jaguar will win this. Well, Nissan didn't do that. They worked hard on their car, but it's still not fast enough. Toyota worked very hard, and their car is fast enough, and it's very reliable. And I think that puts a tremendous amount of pressure on Davy Jones now, because Jaguar have put a huge effort into winning this elusive for them IMSA Camel GT Championship.
Well, Davy Jones will drive the lone Jaguar in today's race. However, there will be 2 Toyotas. For more on that, let's go to pit road and Marty Reed.
Well, guys, we focus on the Drivers' Championship all the time, but the factories, well, they're after the manufacturer's crown, and the man on my left may be the difference between Jaguar and Toyota winning this championship, and that is P.J. Jones. You know, last year you were here in a Firehawk showroom stock car winning, and now you've already got 1 pole. Here you are on the front row alongside Juan.
Yeah, you know, it's been a great learning curve for myself. Coming in, Toyota's been very patient with me, and it's taken a lot of time, giving me a lot of seat time. And the cars are magnificent. I mean, you couldn't have a better team. You couldn't have a better manufacturer. I mean, everything fits so nice. It's like one big family.
What about team orders today?
There's no team orders. I think the only one we have is get through the first turn, and we need to finish the race. We need to win that manufacturer's championship for Toyota.
Yeah, guys, he said the team orders were get through turn 1. Hey, there is a wild card in this field today with that man. Here's Rick DeBrule.
Well, Marty, you know, most guys, when you have a weekend off from your regular job, you may, you know, do a little yard work, spend some time out by the pool, maybe barbecue some burgers. Well, not if you're one of the best racing drivers in the country, in fact, in the world. This year's Indy 500 champion Unser Jr. decided to spend your off time here. It's quite a hobby you've got.
Well, you bet. You know, I love racing, and the folks at Norwegian Cruise Lines and Mike Neely with Global Events asked me to do this, so we love the people in Portland, and so we're here.
You've driven the Indy car here on this particular track just a month or so ago. How does this car compare?
Well, they compare pretty close. You know, there's a little bit of differences, but the lap time seems to be about the same. So,
what about turn one strategy? You know that turn in the first turn of a race better than anyone here. What do you do?
Well, you just get through it. You know, that's the best thing to do. Everybody needs to take care of themselves and take care of each other. And we discussed that in the drivers' meeting yesterday, and hopefully they'll do it.
I know you're anxious to get in the car. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Unser Jr. is certainly no stranger to IMSA Camel GT racing. He competed in his first one back in 1981, and he has 4 wins in this division. Our Speed World coverage of the G.I. Joe's Camel Grand Prix is being brought to you by Norwegian Cruise Lines. When it comes to cruising, nobody else is in our league. By Quaker State, the Big Q is one tough motor oil. By Yokohama Tires and advanced technology on wheels. And by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. We'll look at the Camel Lights division and the track they'll be competing on when we return to Portland.
The winningest battery in NASCAR isn't a special racing battery. It's exactly the same battery you can buy for your car at Sears. Sears Die Hard, the battery that performs 3 times better than industry standards. Die Hard, more power when you need it most. After all, who's gonna back you better than Sears?
We're picking up an unidentified ship, sir.
Yeah?
I hear music, people laughing.
Sounds like a tango.
Nah, merengue.
Norwegian Cruise Line.
Mambo.
Special fares are now available.
I like that.
Call your travel agent today.
Wow. Let's get permission to come aboard, sir.
You know, I've messed up on a few relationships in my life, but there's one that's lasted over 35 years with a lot of help from Quaker State. It's tough on wear, tough on sludge. So Quaker State and I are planning on a meaningful relationship with my new car. So why don't you do the same with your new car's engine, and Quaker State will guarantee it for 250,000 miles or 10 years in writing. You think if I gave Lonnie the Quaker State deal, she'd give me the same guarantee? Quaker State is one tough motor oil.
If you're into looking good, get into Bud Light. The clean, fresh taste won't fill you up, never let you down.
You can taste it, feel it, know you got it right. 'Cause everything else is just a light. Everything else is just a light. Everything else is just a light. Everything else.
Welcome back to Portland International Raceway, where we're getting set for the start of the Camel GTP race. Now, Derek, we talked about the GTP situation. Let's talk a little bit about the Camel Lights, a battle there between Acura and Buick.
That's right. One of the good things about IMSA is they pay very close attention to keeping cars as competitive as possible. Now, last year, the Acura team was totally dominant. Well, this year, the Buick engine cars in particular got a break. They were allowed to increase the engine size, gave them more horsepower, and now really puts them on par with the Acura team, which the result is Parker Johnstone and Dan Marvin had to work very, very hard this year to try and enjoy the same level of success that they enjoyed last year.
Well, Acura worked very hard last weekend at Laguna Seca and came away with a 1-2 sweep. More on that. Let's go back down to Rick DeBrule.
Well, that's right. You know, last year at this race, Parker Johnstone had already wrapped up the Drivers' Championship. The Team Championship, the Manufacturers' Championship, took a little longer in the season to get to, but the Drivers' Championship was done. This year, as you said, it is a whole different story. This year, Parker Johnstone and his teammate Dan Marvin are running hard just to survive. The reason being, they have that Buick to contend with. Let me show it to you. It's right over here. It's the car being driven by Andy Evans for Fermin Velez. This car, as you said, has been pushing them all season long. In this particular race, it turns out that Parker Johnstone has gotten the pole, but this guy is only a notch behind. As a result, he's going to be pushing them hard throughout the race. And there are 2 Acuras in this race. They're taking this very seriously this year. They want that Manufacturers' Championship. And to get that, they felt they needed a 2-prong effort. Both cars out here all season long to do as much as they can. The goal, get both of those cars ahead of this car. That's the goal for this race in the Lights division.
Well, Acura has a 12-point advantage on Buick as we go into this race, so it's going to be a battle right to the end. Now let's go down to the grid and get the command from Norm Daniels.
President of G.I. Joe's.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
The grid comes to life and we get set for racing. But first, here is Derek Daly with a closer examination of this 1.9-mile racetrack.
One of the finest road racing circuits in America. Just under 2 miles, 12 turns. This is the front straight, hard braking. This 170 miles an hour into the slowest section of the racetrack, the new festival turns. 45 miles an hour. Now hard acceleration. This is one of the difficult double apex right-handers, 110 miles an hour right here. And here on the brakes. Another right-hander uphill to the left-hander. This is 75 miles an hour. Long, long left-hander. Burst of acceleration. Now we turn right. Clip the curve right there at 75 miles an hour. Clip the curve on the left. Again on the right, right there. And this is the fastest section of the racetrack. A winding right-hander here around the trees on the right-hand side. 178 miles an hour. But look at this chicane. Over the curb. Touch the curb. 140 miles an hour down to very heavy braking. Second gear corner. 70 miles an hour. And again, up this long, fast front stretch past the pits.
That is Portland International Raceway, and there's the aerial shot. We'll be back with the starting lineup and the start of the race in just a moment.
In case you need to push your truck, Yokohama high-performance light truck tires. They've won more road races than any production motorcycle in recent history. But taking Suzuki GSXRs off the track and putting them on the street requires certain modifications. The new Suzuki GSXR 600, now available for home use.
One swing. Win in the Subway Grand Slam Challenge. Each home run on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball means a fan who names the hitter wins cash. A Grand Slam wins $50,000. Call 1-900-737-ESPN. 95 cents a call. Under 18 needs parent permission. Every home run wins. Grab the favorite meal of ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, a sack of subs from Subway. The Twins take on the Red Sox Sunday night on ESPN.
Anything you can handle, we can handle. Yokohama high-performance tires.
In the shadows of Mount Hood, welcome back to Portland International Raceway. Here's the die-hard starting grid for today's race. On the pole with a new track record, the fastest lap ever at Portland, including the Indy cars. Juan Fangio, 116.3 in the Toyota. His teammate alongside, P.J. Jones in car number 98. In the second row, it'll be Davy Jones in the Jaguar. Alongside will be Al Unser Jr. in the Chevrolet GTP. Chip Robinson starts next in the Nissan. Outside him will be David Tennyson in the Chevrolet Spice. Then come the Mazdas. Price Cobb at 110.2. On the outside of that row will be his teammate Pete Halsmer in the other Mazda RX 792B. Oscar Larari will start a Porsche 962. His co-driver will be John Paul Jr. Outside that fifth row will be Gianpiero Moretti in another Porsche 962. Going to row number 6, it's Parker Johnstone, the Acura Spice Camel Lights car. Also in row number 6, Fermin Velez in the Buick Kudzu. Row number 7, Ruggiero Melgrati in the Acura Spice. His co-driver Wayne Taylor. Charles Morgan starts alongside in the Buick Kudzu. His co-driver is Tommy Riggins. In the 8th row, it's David Rockin, a Buick Spice, and Steve Cameron, his co-driver. Bob Shader starts outside row number 8 in a Buick Spice. Tom Hessert will co-drive. In the 9th row, it's Paul Debon in the Buick Spice. His co-driver is Carlos Bobeda. Jim Downing starts in the Buick Kudzu in row number 9 along with Tim McAdam. And Jeff Brabham will bring up the tail of the field in the Nissan. He had no time during qualifying.
No time because that engine blew up in the critical time. But watch Brabham. He will very, very quickly dispose, particularly of these Camel Lights cars, and try and get up behind the back end of the GTP field.
This is the in-car camera and Fermin Velez's car, and this is the one that will be riding with Al Unser Jr. as he begins this 2-hour contest here at Portland. The field comes out of turn number 12, and the green flag is out. Look at the jockeying going on already as they head for the new festival turns. A big chicane that will be used for the first time in IMSA competition. They head into it. This is concrete surface now, as opposed to the asphalt on the rest of the racetrack. Several cars get off.
Well, Rivalry is one of the cars that are off, but Davy Jones got pushed onto the grass also. It was very, very tight at that first turn, but the Toyotas got away with it. Jones almost got in deep trouble.
It is Juan Fangio leading. Here's a battle for third position as Al Unser Jr. has taken third position and Davy Jones fourth in the Jaguar. Let's see if Davy can take back that spot as they work through the turns that will lead them on to the fast backstretch.
This is the Chevrolet, not very fast down the straight, so let's see can the Jag. Yes, he drags himself up beside Al Jr.
Davy Jones in the Jaguar takes over third position as they go into turns number 10 and 11. Now into turn 12 and on to the main straightaway once again. It's Davy Jones running in third position. And Velez is off in the number 44 car. Fermin Velez is off. And it sounds like maybe gearbox problems, Derek?
Well, it is certainly serious. You know when he pulls right off and he begins to unbuckle, opens up his visor, pulls out the air pipe, that he considers the day is done. He's actually, playing with the gearbox there as if that may have been the problem. But big story here in the Camel Lights division. Fermin Velez is out.
Just as we indicated, the Buick battle with Acura. And here's a major story. Richter Brule reports on pit road.
You plan things out all weekend long, and just at the start of the race, something can go wrong. It did. The gearbox. Apparently, that's the problem that's put Fermin Velez out of the race. No indication. Went into those first turns, suddenly let go. Word is, gearbox has put him out of this one.
Tough break for Fermin Velez. And look at the Toyotas. They have taken off and left the rest of the field. That is Fangio leading his teammate P.J. Jones as they come down to complete another lap.
And B.J. Jones has been so fast here. Almost every practice session he was fastest. In qualifying, Fangio did get him by just a touch. But look at Jones under brake. He shadows Juan Manuel Fangio.
B.J. Jones took his first pole position at Laguna.
This car, designed by John Ward. John Ward, of course, well known for what he did in IndyCar racing. And this car really has gone through a tremendous development program. Got faster all the time. The Jaguar was the one that spurred everybody on to making things faster. Fifth place is Chip Robinson. Of course, Jeff Brabham started from the back. But Robinson back after a long, long layoff after that tremendous crash at Road Atlanta when the cars basically from the team got destroyed.
It's been a disappointing year in many ways for Nissan. Both drivers, as you indicated, crashing at Road Atlanta. Chip Robinson currently in fifth position.
Look at Brabham. Look where he is already. Carves his way past all the Camel Lights cars. That's David Tennyson. He's just gone by Bryce Cobb and Pete Holmer. So now Jeff Brabham is about to attack his teammate Chip Robinson as soon as he passes David Tennyson.
And here is Jeff Brabham moving to the inside and passing Tennyson. An unbelievable move toward the front by Jeff Brabham, the reigning 1991 IMSA Camel GTP champion, who started at the rear of the field because the engine let go during qualifying, and he has worked his way steadily up through the field and certainly has to be considered a contender all the way up to fifth already.
Nissan trying to totally different car setup, not just in suspension setup, but Jeff Brabham's car is 100 pounds lighter than Robinson's, and the engine is 2.5 liter as opposed to Robinson's 3 liter, hoping that the lightweight car, being more nimble, would actually make this car faster and be more of a challenge to the Jaguars and to the Toyotas. I'm not sure it was that big of an advantage at Laguna, but certainly at the moment, Braam seems to be faster than Chip Robinson.
Unser Jr., Chip Robinson, then Jeff Braam, who won this race back in 1988. Into the festival turn once again. Chip Robinson. Oh, and Braam hits the wall.
What happened there? Under braking, Braam's car suddenly turned left, smacked that outside wall. On his day, looks well and truly done. Jeffrey, it's over.
Unbelievable. He has had such terrible luck here at Portland besides his 88 victory. In 86, he ran out of gas on the last lap, suffered overheating problems in 87.
Let's
and
see.
Here it is again. Now watch the car just suddenly dart to the left.
This is heavy braking. He's not under braking yet. Oh, there it is. Looks like something broke when he got under heavy braking. The car turned sharp left, hits the wall. That's it, but it definitely looks as if something did let go mechanically on that car. But Jeff Braam, just like Laguna Seca last week, out in the opening laps, having been spectacular in the opening laps here at Portland.
And another disappointing race for the four-time IMSA GTP champion Jeff Braam, as he has suffered a contact with the wall in the early going here at Portland.
Unser Jr., you race?
All different kinds of racing.
And you race on?
Just one make of tires, Goodyear.
On the track or on the street, Goodyear Eagles outperform the competition. And right now, you can buy 3 Eagle Gatorbacs and get the 4th tire free. But hurry, sale ends August 1st. And imagine, Goodyear tire values like the T-Metric or Decathlon as low as $28.95.
For the full line of Goodyear tires and great tire deals, see me at Goodyear in Milwaukee.
If this winter has been too rough to the finish on your car, with the sky-high cost of a new automobile is got.
And it is Tones is in second position. And the 83 car rather of Jeff Braam, which had the contact with the wall, is slowly making its way around the racetrack, obviously headed for the pits.
Yes, and you can see on that left front suspension, the wheel is lying in at the top, and that could have been caused by the contact with the wall. But I do suspect something broke in that front suspension. See the wheel is lying in a little bit? Jeff Braam, though, definitely not having a good day.
And Jeff Braam will not win the GTP Championship apparently this year after 4 straight. Now look at this, a battle involving his teammate Chip Robinson and Unser Jr. And oh, Chip Robinson spins in the festival turn. Wow. And Unser Jr. gets off course but keeps going. Chip Robinson has fire in that car. Let's see if he gets high centered. He does not. And so Robinson will be able to continue in the race. Or will he?
That was a classic case of 2 cars looking for the one piece of road. Robinson got down the inside. However, Al Jr. accelerated. Remember, normally aspirated car up the inside. Robinson, when he turned in, Al Jr. hit the side and put him into the spin. And Al Jr. luckily was able to make his way around the exit. But look how much time Chip Robinson loses, stuck on the concrete in the festival turn.
Bad luck striking both Nissan cars here in the early going. Jeff Braam making contact with the wall and Chip Robinson spinning with Unser Jr. And there is little Al, car number 15. And here's another look at what happened as they both went for the same piece of real estate.
So Robinson now has the right hander, but look at the little spurt right here from Al Jr. Now he can't get out of the way. Robinson turns in, there is contact, and Al Jr. just about escapes, goes on the grass on the left-hand side, and Robinson is basically stuck until the whole field passes him before he gets underway again.
And David Tennyson did a nice job of missing that little altercation between Robinson and Unser Jr. We're riding with little Al now. This car came here not numbered number 15, but they decided to put number 15 on it in celebration of IMSA's 15th trip to Portland International Raceway.
And this deal only came together within the last 2 weeks for Unser Jr. Norwegian Cruise Lines came up, said they would like to back a car won by Al Jr. General Tire also backed this car, and it's great to see somebody like Unser Jr. come and race sports cars, and he said they have changed tremendously since he won Daytona back in '87. These cars are so much faster and so much more sophisticated than he remembers even just in the late '80s, not too long ago.
The winner of the Indianapolis 500-mile race this year will be driving Indy cars next weekend at the Marlboro 500 in Michigan on the high bank 2-mile track at Michigan International, but today here at Portland International. Well, let's take another look at it, and here it is from the in-car camera.
You can see that Robinson had his nose ahead, but look what happens here. Look, bang, that's it. Chip spins around. Al Jr. on the grass. Lucky he got away with it. And David Tennyson, as you mentioned earlier, slides by on the inside.
And it is now Tennyson that little Al approaches once again.
Oh, traffic plays a part here. That's a Camel Lights car. Got to move over, though. Yes, in fact, he does see him. He moves over. That's Tom Hessert's car. Moves aside. Now he'll see Al Jr. and he'll move over, let him by.
We go down to the pit road, and Rick DeBrule, who's in the Jeff Brabham pit.
Well, they brought Jeff Brabham in. Brabham, they started working on the right front end of the car. I talked to Jeff briefly. He was out of the car for a moment. He said as he was going into the festival turn, he slammed on the brakes, and the right front just suddenly gave away. Apparently, the front hub broke. They brought the car in. They've gone ahead and changed the suspension pieces, changed the brakes necessary. They're putting it back together, and they're going to send him back out into this race.
And the second place car of P.J. Jones has an off-course excursion.
Oh, and a big off-course excursion. It was difficult to see what happened, though. I can imagine it's probably a traffic situation. But P.J. Jones spends a little bit of time mowing the grass here at Portland. And meanwhile, look at the huge gap now that Juan Manuel Fangio has over his teammate. Here it is here.
Oh, it looked like he was battling his teammate Fangio for the lead possibly, and then just got the right side off the track and couldn't hold it.
Well, it wasn't. It wasn't a traffic situation at all. That was the infield left-hander, and Jones looked as if he just simply ran out of road. Here's another look at it. They're under hard acceleration here. Jones is already wide. Now he hits the curbing, then he's on the grass. Now all is lost. He's got no grip on the grass. Luckily, he kept it in a straight line, but he is okay. And he's going to stay out. That's what we hear from the pit radios. He will stay out. He doesn't think there's any damage on that car.
Meanwhile, here is the leader, Juan Fangio, going for his 4th consecutive win in GTP competition. Here is a battle now as David Tennyson and Unser Jr. are nose to tail.
And Bryce Cobb has joined that battle. He is right behind Al Jr. This is where Al Jr. in the Intrepid is very quick. It's a battle for 4th place on the racetrack, but Al Jr. is very good in these sweeps. But look at Bryce Cobb right behind him in a nice, light, nimble Mazda 4-rotor engine.
This is the first year, of course, for the Mazda GTP program, and they wanted to debut this car a lot earlier than they did, but they had some exhaust problems with the machine that kept melting body parts. But now it is locked in a battle with Al Unser Jr. for 5th position. Bryce Cobb, car number 77.
Oh, this is Al Jr. momentarily caught in traffic there. One of the accurate spikes is David Tennyson now. Pulls about 10 car lengths away, but Bryce Cobb still all over the back end of Al Unser Jr.
And here is Pete Halsmer also moving up.
Tennyson gets by the traffic. That's the Camel Lights car number 45. Charles Morgan's in that car. He moves aside. Al Jr. needs to get by the traffic as fast as possible. Goes down the inside. And Bryce Cobb, will he get caught by traffic?
Oh, yes, he does.
Squeezed by. Just about squeezed 2 cars in to an area where really 1 car should really only fit.
Bryce Cobb and Pete Halsmer. There is Cobb in car number 77. Halsmer is in the team car right behind.
And you can clearly hear the rasp and the roar from that Mazda 4-rotor engine. Very similar engine to the one used to win the 1991 Le Mans 24-hour race, which was a tremendous boost for Mazda Racing worldwide. But Al Jr. still able to hold Bryce Cobb at bay. But this car, the Mazda, is so fast around the corners, but the feeling is up and down the pit lane that this car does not quite have the type of horsepower to win these GTP races.
Well, the top 5 in the GTP division and the top 5 in Camel Lights as we take a break from Portland International. Welcome back to live coverage of the G.I. Joe's Camel Grand Prix presented by Nissan. Live from Portland International Raceway. I'm Bob Jenkins along with Derek Daly, Marty Reed, and Rick DeBrule. And the average race speed is 110.1, and the record is 116.2. The leader at the moment is the number 99 Toyota, driven by Juan Manuel Fangio.
And his biggest challenge was coming from his own teammate that we saw earlier. P.J. Jones flew off the road in the infield section. They're now beginning to lap the Camel Lights cars. That's the Acura, the second Acura, driven by Melgrati and Wayne Taylor. Melgrati is the start driver. He is driving that at the moment as we watch. But look at P.J. Jones. He's actually now making up some of that lost time from his grass cutting incident.
And despite the fact that he got off course, he maintained second position. In third position at the moment is Davy Jones. Now the Camel Lights leader at the moment is the other Acura car, driven by Parker Johnstone from Redmond, Oregon, a local driver that has brought a lot of fans and supporters to this event today. Charles Morgan is running in second position and Melgrati in third in the Camel Lights division at the moment.
This Acura was the dominant car of last year. They really had to work much, much harder this year. We see the GTP car just absolutely fly by. Gives you a good idea, a good indication. The power difference between GTP cars and Camel Lights as we saw them go by so much faster.
Parker Johnstone chose racing over music. He was the #1 trumpet chair in the Oakland Youth Symphony at one point, but decided to make auto racing his career, and he's glad he did.
Now Fangio goes by Larowry. We saw Larowry have a reasonably good start into the braking area, and then he went way wide at the start, off on the grass, lost a lot of time, and now he's a full lap down. But Parker Johnstone gets a good bird's eye view of the GTP cars ahead of him. A GTP car that he hopes to be in, because there is still the rumors of the V10 Honda engine making its way over here and possibly being used by the Comtech team.
We go back to this battle for fifth, Al Unser Jr. and Price Cobb.
And this still is a great battle. I asked Al Jr. what he thinks of these cars. He said, one, they're very hot inside. Look at David Tennyson, snakes across the other side of the racetrack trying to break the toe from Al Jr. But he said the most impressive thing about these GTP cars is they are phenomenal under braking, pulling over 4 Gs under heavy braking. He said that was the most impressive thing about these cars. Much, much better under braking, he said, than his Indy car.
Now compare this track, Derek, with some of the others in relation to braking.
Well, of course, many people said that these are 2 drag strips with corners at each end. There are some very, very heavy braking here at each end of this racetrack, so you have a good compromise of low-speed corners, heavy braking, and then these long double apex left and right-handers on the infield. So this is why Portland International Raceway is one of the finest road racing facilities in America. David Tennyson still holds off Al Unser Jr. Tennyson said in qualifying and in practice he had never, ever driven a car as hard, and yet all the changes he was making, he could not make it go any faster. And that's Camel Light car number 9 makes its way slowly to the pits. That is Tom Hesser, who started that car.
His co-driver, Bob Shader, the car in the pits right now. Of course, the Camel Lights cars have to have a driver change. We go back inside the Al Unser Jr. car once again.
Chasing David Tennyson. That's another Chevrolet engine car ahead of him, so it's got very good instant acceleration because it's normally aspirated. David Tennyson, of course, one of the graduates from the Camel Light division, has had some very, very good racing this year. Struggles really to get enough test time in this car, but David Tennyson giving again another good account of himself and his ability.
And he jumps away from little Al, it appears, on the straightaways. Tennyson is 4th, Al Unser Jr. 5th, followed by Price Cobb and then Pete Halsmer. Into corner number 12, coming out onto the main straightaway, where speeds will reach about 172 miles an hour, as Derek told you before, braking for the festival turns. And now Price Cobb looks to the inside of Little Al down the main straightaway, but makes no move.
Under braking, these cars definitely seem to close up on each other. Al Jr. seems to look, see the way that advantage closes down on David Tennyson under heavy braking. Now the Mazda doesn't look, and we said it earlier on, doesn't look as if it has the horsepower, but all through this twisty section, that's where the Mazda should have an advantage over the Chevrolet cars. Oh, you can still hear that Mazda engine roar. It's got a rasp to it that is unmistakably Mazda, and it sounds so good.
It really does, and you definitely know when it's out on the racetrack, especially during qualifying. It's very distinctive, high-pitched whine of that four-rotor motor.
That's Bryce Cobb. Now look, he is closer to Al Jr. than ever. Now Bryce Cobb was very fast down through this section in practice all weekend, but he just doesn't seem to be able to get quite close enough to make a legitimate attempt to try and pass Al Jr. Look at David Tennyson, though, still trying to break this toe. Look at Bryce Cobb.
And here's Price looking inside. He'll not make a move. Thinks better of it. Bryce Cobb, of course, used to be a very respected driver with Porsche. Now with the new Mazda effort, him and Pete Halsmer are the GTP Mazda drivers.
Al Jr. definitely has a fight on his hands here. He can see that the Mazda is going left and right behind him, trying to make him very, very much aware that he is there. But Al Jr. I won't say never, because you never say never, but Al Jr. not prone to making mistakes in racing.
Juan Manuel Fangio continues to hang on to the lead here at Portland. We'll be back in a moment. Low humidity, you just couldn't ask for more. There's the leader, Juan Manuel Fangio in the Toyota. Prepared by Dan Gurney, going for 4 in a row. The last driver to win 3 straight IMSA GTP contests prior to last weekend when Fangio did it. Come on, Derek, make a guess.
You tell me, Bob. You tell me.
Let me think. Well, it was Derek Daly in 1990.
Derek Daly. I didn't even know until I read it in the PR blurb out today.
And now Fangio is sneaking up on the back of Pete Halsmer.
You believe Fangio totally in control of this. Now look, that is the 5th place battle.
Ooh.
But look at Fangio. Look at Tennyson trying to break this.
Oh, and Fangio goes to the inside. How's this going to come out?
Look at Bryce Cobb. Oh, dangerous situation for Fangio. Oh, Bryce Cobb just almost hit the back.
Well, this was a great battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th, but now we have the leader of the race mingled in as he tries to lap everybody, and it's absolutely amazing how well that car has performed here in the early going. He's already lapping the 5th place car.
And David Tennyson really being extra aggressive, particularly down this front straight, trying to break the toe from Unser Jr. But we saw Jr. shadows his every move, but now mixed in the middle. Fangio better be careful, because remember, Tennyson and Al Jr. are racing among themselves. But just look at the horsepower of this Toyota as he just literally drives by Unser Jr. and then snakes down the inside of the Acura under heavy braking. That's David Tennyson ahead of him, so he'll surely pull out and just motor by him up this front straight.
And if he does, he will lap the 4th place car already. There is Fangio right at the start-finish line as he puts a lap on Tennyson, the 4th place car. And back here at the end of this line is his teammate, P.J. Jones, and he too is beginning to lap up in 6th position.
He is, and I think P.J. is actually closing in slightly on team leader Fangio. But Fangio, remember, he has been caught in traffic just a little bit, the traffic that now Jones has to make his way through.
Certainly you have to wonder what kind of a race we would have if P.J. had not gotten off track a few laps ago and put himself at a huge deficit, but now he definitely is beginning to close in on the 99 car. And Fangio also goes off track as he comes in contact with Gianpiero Moretti in the number 30 Momo Porsche.
See how scary things can get here? Moretti moves to the side, but now look what's going on here. P.J. Jones now is all over the team leader. So both Toyotas have been off the road and on the grass in this race, and we're not even a third of the way into the race yet.
So now Fangio had to repass Little Al, and here comes P.J. to do likewise. And now 1st and 2nd are separated by only a few car lengths. That was the view from Little Al's car into the Festival Corners once again. And Davy Jones, the 3rd place car, and the Jaguar is off, and he isn't going anywhere.
Well, here is a disaster situation for Davy Jones. Sits there. One of the problems with this Jaguar is when it gets off, if the engine stalls, the starter motor gets so hot because of the position. Now he is 1 lap down, but this Jaguar does not want to start after it stalls in the middle of a race. So championship points actually falling away from Davy Jones as he sits there on the curb. Disaster for Jaguar and Davy Jones.
Jaguar 21 points behind Toyota in the Manufacturers' Championship going into this race. And now we have a great battle going on up front. We heard P.J. Jones say before the race that there were no team orders as such, and man, he is proving it as he is coming up and beginning to challenge Fonio for the lead.
Well, this is almost what they had to do 2 or 3 laps ago. Fangio pulling out past David Tennyson. But let's have a look at what happened here. Now, Moretti is the red Porsche that'll come into play here. Moretti locks his wheels. Look at this. He slides off on the outside, and Fangio slides off on the outside with him. Maybe those cars touched, but look how difficult it is to get the car back on the racetrack. And Fangio, luckily, just missed that yellow curbing. And here comes the traffic jam up behind him.
Looked like that Fangio had the inside line. It could have made that corner, but for some reason the left side went off. That's what dropped him back. He did, however, maintain the lead. But here is P.J. Jones, his teammate, right on the rear wing of that car. And we have an overall yellow. Jim Sidley, the IMSA starter, waves the caution flag for the first time this afternoon, indicating a full course caution. And so the pace of this race will be reduced for the first time.
And that, we presume, will be to go out and gather up Davy Jones in the Jaguar, who flew off the road again. And now the Toyotas take advantage of actually making a pit stop under a yellow flag situation.
Let's go down to Marty Reed for this pit stop.
Hey guys, this is like having stereo. They're both at the same time. This crew was ready, and they were waiting and hoping for this opportunity, and they have ducked in. Both crews, they'll make a complete 4-tire change. Fangio is just calmly sitting in the car. He looks very comfortable, and he's already underway. PJ's going to have to watch out. He makes it around the tire, and they are back in lockstep.
The leaders have pitted under caution, Fangio and P.J. Jones.
And believe me, the race still continues, even when they're in the pit lane. One crew against the other. It is always a competition. And you can see that both crews did an excellent job because they got in and got out in the same position.
Well, we have had unbelievable action here in the first few minutes of this 2-hour contest. First of all, Jeff Braam smacking the wall as he tried to brake going into the festival turns. He is back in the race, however, but many laps down. And now Davy Jones, the second-place car, stalled on course. And besides that, we've seen some great battles involving Unser Jr., David Tennyson, and many others. So we're still in the early part of this race, and Fangio will hang onto the lead under caution. Back after these words. Track Facts brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil.
Camel Lights is a class that was born out of the need for cost-effective prototype racing. But lately, it's become an entry-level platform for teams and sponsors who want to test the GTP waters. In 1990, David Tennyson first entered the Camel Lights class because it fit his sponsor's high-tech image.
Denon being such a hi-fi audio product with a very good image as well, we wanted to race in a series where the cars looked like cars because it was a better marriage of the kind of products that we were making. We were making car audio products as well as home audio products, and we used the program to enhance the image of the company as well as the product. Camel Lights really brought me into the whole groove of American racetracks, learning the tracks here, learning about ground effects cars, as well as bringing Denon into a series so that we could learn about, how this series runs, learn the key players involved in the series, and just build up a rapport with everybody in the series so that once we made the step to GTP, that, everybody knew who we were, and we were there, and we were ready to do a good job.
Tennyson made good use of that seat time, claiming IMSA's postseason Most Improved Driver Award. This year, Team Denon moved into the GTP class.
GTP Grand Touring Prototype is the ultimate form of a road-going car. We have carbon fiber brakes. The cars are very, very high-tech now. You have, the Jaguars and the Toyotas now are quicker than Indy cars. So, the cars are very quick and very high-tech. We're dealing with a lot of new technology, and that's a really good marriage for Denon and the series that we were involved in.
While Team Denon was the first to move to the GTP ranks, it's a growing trend. Scandia Racing introduced Norwegian Cruise Lines to the sport this season. Their success is being rewarded with a 1993 program that will include a GTP and a Lights team. And the Comtech Acura team is also looking to GTP in 1993.
That's the story of the Denon team, and Tennyson has been in for a pit stop, as many others have. We are still under caution here at Portland, getting the stalled car of Davy Jones back on course, and he is running again. As a matter of fact, there he is right there. Let's go down to the pit area and get a report on the many pit stops. First from Marty Reed.
Well, guys, probably what we should talk about is the one stop that wasn't made. Unser Jr. decided to stay out. The man behind the decision is Tom Milner. Why do it, Tom?
Well, we will only have to make one pit stop, and if we would stop now, then we would have to stop again. We just got back onto the lead lap by the virtue of the Toyota pitting, so we should actually be in third place now. We will not plan to stop for about another 30 minutes.
So there you have it as far as strategy with Al Unser. Let's go down the other end of the pits. Rick DeBroom.
And even as we speak, Davy Jones is bringing the Jaguar in. This is the second stop he has made. He came in once they got him going. They changed all 4 tires, and they sent him back out. He's been complaining of a lot of oversteer. Now they're making an adjustment to the rear wing. Also doing a little patchwork on the front end to try and clean up some of the ductwork that was broken as a result of a little off-course excursion. But once again, apparently it was just a spin. They don't know what caused it. So they brought him in, they changed the 4 tires. Now they're doing that wing adjustment, hoping that was what caused it. The result is he's back out into this race trying to make up the time that he's lost. Go back upfield to Marty.
The third place Acura with Rogero Melgrati is in the pits. He has gotten out of the car. Wayne Taylor has climbed in. They are making a wing adjustment. In fact, they're taking a couple of the templates off that were helping give the car some extra downforce. What they did to make this car work earlier in the practice sessions, it was after an accident, they had to put the double wing on that you see in the back, and they also had to increase the spring rates. The car suddenly came around this morning, and they find themselves in the battle.
As Marty said, Wayne Taylor is now in that number 48 Acura. Still under caution here at Portland, anticipating a green flag before too long. It's basically been a Toyota show all the way, as the 2 Toyotas and now Al Unser Jr., who did not make a pit stop during this caution period, is back on the lead lap, but those are the only 3 on the lead lap.
Speaking of that double element rear wing, that's almost become fashionable now since the Jaguar came. But Jim Downing, one of the stalwart supporters of the Camel Lights division, says we should not have them. They should be banned. They're too expensive, and they do not make anything to enhance the show. So that was Jim Downing's opinion of these 2-tier rear wings.
Coming off corner number 12, and they see the green flag on lap number 32. Laps are really important because this is a timed race, a 2-hour event. Some jockeying for position going on as here come the Mazdas and also one of the Nissans.
Chip Robinson.
Oh, and some bumping going on back there.
Whoa, how close this can be under heavy braking. That was why they designed this festival turn here, to give another legitimate open braking area, and that really seems to what we have.
Back down to Marty Reed on pit road.
Well, the Acura got caught out. This is your leader, Parker Johnstone, and he is in the 49, and they went green, and boy, they are having trouble getting that left front tire taken care of, so he's going to be way back.
He goes out of the pit area, squealing the tires as he does, and David Tennyson, we also notice, is on pit road, as obviously something is not right with that car. Now he gets it going and peels out. Here's Rick DeBroom.
Well, the story with David Tennyson, apparently a little off-course excursion. If you looked at the very bottom of those skid plates on the wing, we should call them skids, they were today, it was bent for some reason. They brought him in, tried to take care of that, and sent him back out on the track again.
Yeah, you can actually see tire marks on the left side of that car, but what I don't like is that rear wing looks to me to be actually bouncing and wavering a little bit. We'll keep a good close eye on that to make sure he didn't hit something that's actually broken the mounting points on that rear wing.
Boy, it sure looked like it to me too, Derek. That wing didn't appear to be at all stable as he accelerated out of the festival turn, so we'll watch that. Here come first and second, meanwhile.
Here's the Toyota freight train, because that's exactly what it is, a freight train. They followed each other during practice in this formation, and now they've carried this type of speed all the way through. Totally dominant performance. Both cars have been off the road. They've both been in trouble with traffic, but as you can see, they've got clear road behind them and ahead of them. David Tennyson is the next one to be lapped because of his second pit stop in about 3 laps.
Juan Fangio rates second only to Peter Gregg in the number of solo victories in IMSA competition. Gregg 14 and Fangio with 11, looking for number 12 this afternoon.
And P.J. Jones going through a tremendous learning curve with this team. Remember, we mentioned it earlier, he drove in the Firestone Firehawk series, which is basically production-based road-going cars last year and was successful, and now he's right in the middle of GTP racing and showing extremely good amounts of speed.
And you can even go back further than that as far as Jones' racing career is concerned. He and his brother Paige apparently were knocking around the balls on the pool table one day, and Dad Parnelli came walking in, and Brother Page said, "If we make these 3 balls, Dad, will you take us to the Caesars Grand Prix?" And Parnelli said, "Sure." Well, they didn't, and Parnelli didn't take them there, but he did buy a go-kart for both the boys, and they began their racing careers that way. We'll be back, presented by Nissan at Portland International Raceway, this coming Thursday night. An IFB Cruiserweight Championship. James Waring from Miami, Florida, who's the champion, 15-1 with 9 KOs, goes against Alfred Ice Cole, who's 20-1 with 11 KOs, the #1 contender. Thursday night at 9 o'clock Eastern, Top Rank Boxing in the IFB Cruiserweight Championship here on ESPN. Well, we've had a major development regarding the 3rd-place car of Al Unser Jr. Here's Marty.
Well, you can see Al Unser Jr. is out of the car, getting out of the cool suit. You were giving it a good ride there, and then all of a sudden, right after the yellow, what happened?
Well, the engine just started going away, and it lost oil pressure. It went down to 30 pounds, and it just used up too much oil, I guess, and the bearings just started tightening up.
That's an unfortunate break for Al Unser Jr. They were giving this car one of his best rides of the season, guys.
So Al Unser Jr. coming here on a weekend off from the IndyCar ranks, runs well in the first 45 minutes or so of this contest, working his way up to 3rd, but his race is over. Here's 1st and 2nd, Fangio and P.J. Jones still up front.
Fangio now comes up again on traffic. Got to be careful. I don't think P.J. Jones would make an attempt that would put his team leader in jeopardy in any way, even though there may not be team orders here. But I still think P.J. Jones knows that he needs to make a move only if the door is absolutely wide open, not take a chance, because remember, both cars can leave the road so easily.
We heard Fangio talking about how much he would like to win, how important an IMSA championship would be. Historically, the driver who has led points after the first 9 races, and as we indicated, Fangio took over the points lead at the end of the 9th race last weekend at Laguna Seca. The driver leading after 9 races has gone on to win the title 17 of the 20 times. And certainly the performance that this Toyota team has shown in the last few races, they are well on their way to the championship. Fangio won at New Orleans, he won at Watkins Glen, he won last weekend at Laguna Seca.
And nobody in IMSA history has gone on to win 4 races in a row solo drive. That's what Fangio will attempt to do this afternoon also. Interesting, Fangio and P.J. Jones, their careers took somewhat similar paths to where they are now. Both competed successfully in the ARS series, which is now the Indy Light series. Fangio's career, of course, floundered a little bit between Europe and America about 5 or 6 years ago, and then, of course, he met Dan Gurney, and Dan Gurney made it all happen. For a driver, that is what you need. You need a team and an owner to actually give you the equipment that you need to demonstrate your ability, and that's what Fangio has now with the equipment that Dan Gurney and Toyota are able to provide him and P.J. Jones.
Let's go back in the pack a little bit in the battle for now 3rd position with Al Unser Jr. out of the race. The 77 car of Price Cobb, the Mazda, has 4th position, and 5th is Chip Robinson in the Nissan number 84.
Mazda, of course, one of the most successful names in IMSA. Remember the RX-7? It was so successful, it still makes the same noise. They won the Le Mans 24-hour race. The team manager for this Mazda team is Ashley Page, who spent some very successful years running the Nissan team that we watch here, with Chip Robinson now having been at least a lap down, probably 2 laps down, having been had that altercation earlier on with Al Unser Jr. But Mazda, a huge learning curve. The thing about this, the problem they had in this season is they had no time for testing this car. It was finished too late, and their test sessions became race weekends, which is a very, very difficult thing to do.
Car designed by Lee Dykstra. As a matter of fact, Mazda's first win goes back to 1969 when they won the Singapore Grand Prix for touring cars, a Mazda R100. As far as the first pro win for Mazda, it was by Pat Bedard, driving an RX-2 sedan in the 1973 IMSA Series.
See Price Cobb drift way wide coming onto this front straight. You see him go over the yellow curve there. That's using all the racetrack that's available. But Chip Robinson, we see Jeff Brabham. Now, Jeff lost 6 laps earlier when he had to stop to have that right upright or that right suspension fixed after he had that wall banging incident earlier. But he's now catching Chip, and Chip seems to be slightly catching Price Cobb.
Chip Robinson was the 1987 IMSA GTP champion while he was driving a Porsche for the late Al Holbert. 19 wins for Team Nissan since 1989, and he was the runner-up in points in 89, 90, and 91.
And of course, a very disjointed year for Chip this year. He will be married towards the end of this year. A very disjointed season for him, something that he had nothing to do with. But that crash at Road Atlanta really put this team, it really was a major setback for the Nissan team.
It's a Dan Gurney Team Toyota sweep here so far, with Fangio and Jones leading the way at Portland International Raceway and the G.I. Joe's Camel Grand Prix. Top blown off of it. Mount St. Helens and Mount Hood shadowing Portland International Raceway. We have a couple of more weekends off as far as NASCAR Winston Cup competition is concerned. Our next telecast will be on the 9th of August at 1 p.m. live. The Budweiser at the Glen, and the defending champion is Ernie Irvan. On the track here at Portland, the car number 78, driven by Pete Halsmer, one of the Mazdas, has stopped off course.
Current IMSA GTO champion in the Mazda last year, moved up to the GTP ranks with this team. But the day is definitely over. Halsmer is still in the car, probably hoping to get a tow, at least to get that car into a... Oh, no, it's actually fired up again. He closed the door down. So I wonder, did he undo his belts? Because it's very difficult to actually do your belts up yourself. Oh, no, I think he's just taking it into a safe position. Can he... No, I think he's just content to take it away into the escape road and stop and leave it there.
Yeah, the car stopped at the entrance to the festival turns, and he drove through the cones and put it in the escape road. So Pete Halsmer has ended his race in the Mazda. Meanwhile, it is still Team Toyota with Fangio and P.J. Jones, and Rick DeBrule can tell us what happened to the Mazda. Rick?
Word from the Mazda team is that it was apparently something to do with the exhaust system, whether it was the muffler itself that broke or the header that broke. That's apparently what brought his day to an end. He was hoping to be able to get it back around into the pit so they could do some work on it, but apparently it's damaged enough that he feels he has to actually pull off the side of the road and abandon for the day.
Well, that was the problem they had with the car in the early going, the exhaust system.
And when it got too hot, it tended to catch the car on fire. So if Pete Halsmer thinks the header is broken, I'm sure that's the first thing he thinks about. This thing might catch fire if I try to get it back to the pit lane. So the safest thing to do is, knowing that he was going to have a long pit stop anyway, just pull off and call it a day.
P.J. Jones running in second position. What a great heritage he brings to racing. Of course, his father, Parnelli Jones, was the Indianapolis 500 winner in 1963, and his team owner is Dan Gurney. We don't have much to say about him except the best. How has Dad and Dan Gurney helped you, P.J.?
Well, my dad's kind of stayed away from the scene. He's kind of hasn't been. He went to Miami, and then he hadn't been to a race since Laguna. But you know, behind going home and talking to him at night, and you know, he's definitely been a help. And mostly, you know, maybe not so much technically, but confidence-wise, and you know, and just, you know, do your best, and you know, just that kind of stuff. Dan has been a real help too. I mean, he's somebody you can trust. He's got a good opinion. He's always around, so we know what's happening, and I mean, he's the boss.
Since his retirement from racing, Dan Gurney has brought a lot of young drivers around to prominence, and P.J. Jones the latest.
Interesting, P.J. Jones, of course, in the seasons past, when he did midget cars and sprint cars and everything. Price Cobb now is in the pits with the number 77 Mazda. But to continue the P.J. Jones piece, he used to do as much as 50 races a year because he wanted to drive everything he could get his hands on. Now it's down to 12 races because he has an exclusive contract with Toyota.
Let's go to Rick DeBrule and find out what the story is on this second Mazda.
I'm afraid I may be bad luck. Just 5 minutes ago, I came down to the team and I said, how are things going? They said, just beautiful. We couldn't ask for anything better. 3 minutes later, they've got one car out of the race. Price Cobb has just come in. Apparently, he's having a problem with a sticking throttle. So they're in there trying to work on it, whatever they can do to get him back out. But at this point, they don't seem to be having a lot of luck in terms of finding a quick solution to get him back into the race. But that's their intention as soon as they can.
Well, Price Cobb will sit in the cockpit until they can find the problem on this car and get it corrected. Hopefully back out onto the racetrack.
It's never a good sign when a driver brings the car in and the mechanics immediately go and pull the rear engine cover off. That always spells trouble. But where is number 98 Toyota gone?
Just a few minutes ago, it was first and second close battle with the Toyotas, and now P.J. Jones has fallen behind considerably.
Well, it had to be a traffic situation, I'm sure. Probably a traffic situation, particularly if you get caught in somewhere like a chicane. You can't drive over the top of somebody. You can't get on the grass, so you literally just have to wait your time, which means the leader gets by. But now it'll be interesting to see with clear road, can Jones catch Fangio? I think he can.
That's exactly right. We've seen it a couple of times already. When Jones went off course earlier in the race, he caught right up to Fangio, and now he got caught in traffic at the festival turns a couple of laps ago, fell back, and now we'll see if he can close in once again on Fangio. 2 Indy Lights wins in 91, finished second at Laguna Seca, and 4 top 5s, 8 top 10 finishes in IMSA competition. P.J., go ahead.
Didn't really have a run of good luck early this year. Remember, Road Atlanta, Jeff Braam hit him at the start. He had a lot of incidents early in this season which really took a lot of points paying positions away from P.J. Jones. But I think the pole position at Laguna Seca will give him the type of confidence lift that will now allow P.J. Jones to be a front runner on a regular basis every race from here on in.
Here's a driver that can basically pick where he wants to go in auto racing. We've seen him many times on Saturday Night Thunder driving the open wheel midgets and sprints. Now making his mark in IMSA competition, but I'm sure if he so chooses, he could find a good ride in IndyCars or just about anywhere that he wanted to go.
And he is for sure eyeing the IndyCar series, but I had a little talk to his dad down inside the chicane earlier on Friday. He said, yes, obviously they're looking at IndyCars, but they are both a little concerned at the instability that seems to be within the rules at the moment and the rash of driver injuries. That is definitely a concern to a P.J. Jones.
There is the Camel Lights leader, the number 49 car, which I believe, as far as we know, Parker Johnstone still driving that car. He is the leader of the Camel Lights division at the moment and is, I believe, 9th overall. Marty Reed has a report from pit road.
Yeah, guys, I want to update you. I thought that Parker got hung out when the course went back green. I was incorrect. What had happened was he was the only Camel Light car to be in front of the leader, Juan Fangio. So under IMSA rules, he was allowed to go around, and he picked up a full lap on every other Camel Light in the field. So their game plan was to come in, make the stop, and make the driver change. But they went green a little bit too soon. They did not make the driver change, so they still will have to stop again.
Remember, it is in the regulations. Unlike GTP, the Camel Light cars do have to make a driver change at some stage during the race. So that will be a time-consuming next stop for Parker Johnstone and Dan Marvin.
And here is Parker Johnstone.
Comtech Racing, very professional team, always look good, always do a good job. A lot of development going on with this car. They've tried carbon fiber brakes. It's not on the 49 car, but it is on the 4018 car. They've tried the double element rear wing. It's not quite sorted yet, however, the 48 car has it because they literally ran out of parts. The 48 car, when it was driven by Mel Grati, I believe, was involved in an incident on Friday with Price Cobb. Price Cobb passed him. We see it's Wayne Taylor driving at the moment. But Price Cobb passed, got way too close, pushed the car off, and backed it into the walls, did a lot of heavy damage. Hence the experimental or development wing, which is the 2-tier, very like the Jaguar, is now on the second of these Acuras, the 48 car.
Just about the halfway mark of the 2-hour G.I. Joe's IMSA Grand Prix. G.I. Joe's Camel IMSA Grand Prix. And just past the halfway mark, here are the standings. Juan Fangio leads Parnelli P.J. Jones, the Toyota drivers. Chip Robinson, the Nissan, is third. Oscar Larari in a Porsche is fourth, and David Tennyson is running in fifth position. Then 6 through 10, John Paul Jr., who's climbed in the number 30 Porsche. Davy Jones is seventh. Parker Johnstone leading Camel Lights is eighth. Charles Morgan second in Camel Lights is ninth overall. And Tim McAdam in the number 63 car now is third in the Lights division and 10th overall. And Derek, we indeed have seen again P.J. Jones close right up on Fangio.
That is right. Look what we have here. The two Camel Light cars, the Acura cars run together. The freight train of Toyota runs together. P.J. Jones, with not a lot of help from traffic, was able to close down that gap to his team leader Fangio. And Fangio is driving this car very, very hard. Exiting the last turn, the right-hander, we saw Fangio the last lap get sideways coming out of there. So he is not backing off at all. See the course marshal there with the blue flag. That's how they use it. They raise the blue flag. That was for the Acura Spice car, showing him that there is a leading car behind you and he wants to pass. Move over.
Well, you begin to wonder about the endurance of these cars. This is only a 2-hour race, a relatively short one, but indeed the Sebring 12 hours went to Fangio and his team. So it is a car that will go long distances.
And it is only a small 2.1-liter turbocharged engine. They really have to pump a lot of power out of these very small engines to be able to keep up with the likes of the Jags and the Nissans, but they've done it successfully. But one of the main things, I think, the advantages they have this year is this car is very reliable. And I asked one of their mechanics why this was. He said it's simply because they have a complete new engine management system now on these cars that manages the engine and the fuel a lot better, and that has contributed greatly to its reliability.
Fangio, 12 total wins in IMSA competition. And P.J. Jones, his teammate, right behind in second spot.
Now let's be honest here for a minute, Bob. You think Fangio is praying for reliability? Of course he is. What do you think PJ's hoping for?
Well, my question
Let's be honest here now. PJ needs his first GTP win. I'm sure there is team orders here. But I bet he hopes something happens to Fangio.
My question is, we have seen him catch up to Fangio now on at least 2 different occasions. Why isn't he passing him if he has what appears to be a faster car?
Well, I would say it's because he is the number 2 driver.
You think so?
Understands that, respects that, and realizes that Toyota's chance to win the championship lies squarely with Juan Manuel Fangio. And remember, he is the first Toyota driver to ever lead this GTP championship. So I think P.J. Jones is towing the corporate line here and doing exactly what he's being paid to do. But you can clearly see how fast he is.
You know, Derek, when I was growing up, and we'll see if you agree with this, one of the very first names that I remember in auto racing was Fangio and how great he was on the World Championship circuit.
And you know, in our tease, we did the piece with the great 5-time world champion and his nephew. They even look the same. They certainly have similar amounts of talent, because Fangio in the Toyota here has been able to display his talents for many years, and he has a lot of it. And he hopes he's on his way, because remember the little interview we had, he said to have a GTP championship on his resume really would be a sense of fulfillment for him in his career.
Naturally, when a team dominates as they have for the past 3 races, there's always a few questions that are being asked. Let's go down to Marty Reed for a comment on that.
Gamesmanship is always played in sports, and 2 of the best in IMSA racing happen to be Tony Dow, the head man of Jag, and also the guy who runs Toyota, Dan Gurney. The latest issue is fuel. And guess who? Tony Dow went right after Dan Gurney saying, hey, he's using fuel from Europe.
Did I really?
Yes, you did, really.
It's a unleaded fuel. and it's perfectly legal.
Well, I think it's wonderful stuff, and you know, that's probably a way of saying they got too much budget.
And of course, it infuriates our competition.
It smells like horsepower, and I really want to get some. I mean, if Dan wants to give us some, maybe we'll use it.
As for why we're using it and not using the regular from the station down the street, you know, we're trying to win the races, and this is sort of a peacetime version of warfare.
Can you or will you do something along the same lines, sending some stuff over from Europe?
You never know, do you?
Tony Dow, the team manager for Team Jaguar, and Dan Gurney from Toyota. That fuel is imported. It's L fuel, the European fuel, and it's the stuff that Nigel Mansell apparently is using, or at least similar to, but it's legal, so...
it's perfectly legal, and Dan Gurney is right. He should be using it, but look at the battle here at the chicane. This is under heavy braking again. Now remember, the battle on the racetrack here is David Tennyson and Lowry. Davy Jones is too far down, but it's Tennyson and Lowry battling for position.
Tennyson doing a great job. He's in 4th position at the moment, and Oscar Lowry in that number 7 Torno Porsche was right behind, but now he begins to lose ground.
Now, did you see Tennyson there on the infield left-hander? Got it sideways under power. Car almost got away from him, jumped off the power, straightened it up in a vicious move, and then, thanks to his lucky start, that he got away with it and sets off again after Davy Jones to see how that Jag handles.
And the number 2 car of Davy Jones is in 6th position, despite the fact that he's many laps down. But there is the 4th place car, David Tennyson, and he has had a great race so far.
He really has. He knows he's not in a car that's as fast as the Toyotas or the Jag. So you really have to cut your cloth according to the measure. You have to make the best of what you have. And he really is making the best of what he has. Look at it again. He's almost sideways, turning into these slow-speed right-left flicks through this festival curve. But one thing about David Tennyson, he absolutely drives the wheels off this car, which is great to see for a young driver. Video brought them along to back his racing effort from his Camel Lights. We saw that earlier in the feature. Julian Randalls from England runs this Spice effort. They've been under finance for many, many years, but they have been one of the teams who have supported the IMSA series and tried everything they have to field competitive cars at all times. But it is a struggle for the smaller, less financed teams to battle against a freight train like Toyota.
The freight train Toyota is being led by Juan Fangio with P.J. Jones 2nd, Chip Robinson 3rd, then Lowry and Tennyson. We'll be right back. It's Derek Daly, Marty Reed, and Rick DeBrule back at the G.I. Joe's Camel Grand Prix presented by Nissan at Portland International Raceway, race number 10 of the IMSA GTP season. The leader is Juan Fangio. 2nd is P.J. Jones. Those 2 cars, the only ones on the lead lap.
And they get by the Porsche 962. In race trim, it's a little bit slower, but that Porsche 962, which is one of the Yost cars driven by Lowry, was the fastest car down the straight all weekend. It actually did 186 miles an hour on the back straight, which at the time was 10 miles an hour faster than every other car, but the car does not have enough downforce, and that's why overall in the lap time it's not fast.
Yeah, you would think that with the tremendous straightaway speeds that this Porsche achieves, it would be able to be more competitive, but just can't get through the corners.
Cannot get through the corners. This is the 962. So long was the famous name of Porsche, carried that flag so well, but now this car simply is too old. The interesting thing, though, is this is a Yost-prepared car. This car is the sister car to the Momo car driven by John Paul at the moment. These cars are still prepared in Germany, believe it or not, near Heidelberg. This is the 10th trip to America these cars have had and the team have had to come this year to compete in the IMSA series. So a huge travel budget, never mind the engine and tire budget for that team.
Boy, I guess you'd think that they would find someplace in the U.S. to prepare this car and save all that money and all that time and all of the passport stamps that you get.
Well, that's right. Now, I thought they were actually based here in Atlanta, and that was the question I asked, but they said no, the cars go back to Germany more often than not, and this is trip number 10. Now look at this here. How long has Nissan been dominant in IMSA GTP racing? And now we see the Toyota freight train about to put a lap again on one of the Nissan GTP cars. Well, Nissan know they have a lot of work to do. They are working very hard. Cass Kastner always keeps an ace up his sleeve. And when I asked him about next year, he just looks at me with that smile that you just know he's got something up his sleeve. He's not going to tell you, but for sure they will not stay uncompetitive for very long.
You know, we were down in Daytona Beach, Florida not too long ago, and we happened to stumble onto a test session that Nissan was conducting. They're already testing their 24-hour car for the Rolex 24 at Daytona, hoping to pull off a victory at that race, and it appears as if, yes indeed, the 84 car of Chip Robinson is headed for pit road. Rick DeBrule is there.
Well, this is the stop they hope will be the last one that Chip Robinson has to make. They're simply bringing him in, putting in his 4 tires, putting in the fuel. The one thing they are doing differently, though, they're putting on a much harder compound tire than he had on to start with. Apparently, the was running so hard, he simply blistered the other tires. It was too soft of compound. This time, they decided to shift over, go for something much harder so that he can last the rest of the race.
Chip Robinson was running in 3rd position, and not sure whether he'll keep that or not, but was running in 3rd when he came in for the stop.
And you can see the last thing they do on a pit stop is they wipe the windscreen. We saw Jeff and Bobby G there jump over with their rags. Quick wipe, so as make sure Chip can see where he's going, and away he goes. Meanwhile, back at the front, we call this a freight train still?
I think
it definitely is, isn't it? I mean, just look at this. High-speed freight train.
Separated by about 4 or 5 car lengths, and that's the way they have run most of the afternoon, with Jones at times closing in, but never has been able to take the lead away. Well, we tracked the race at just over the halfway point, and the leader all the way has been Juan Fonio. 1 caution for 6 laps. That was when Davy Jones stalled just off the course. We have only the first 2 cars, Fonio and Jones, on the lead lap, and the average speed is a little over 102 miles an hour. Out of the race, Al Unser Jr., unfortunately, in the Chevrolet. Fermin Velez also out. Tom Hessert and Pete Halsmer in the Mazda, retiring from competition.
Al Unser Jr. may be back to do some more GTP races. I know Tom Miller would love to do a deal to get him back in that car, particularly for Del Mar, because that's the type of street circuit that would really suit this Chevrolet normally aspirated car.
Let's take a look at the top 10 as we have them right now. Of course, it's the Toyotas up front. 3rd is Robinson, then Tennyson and Larori. They're 6th through 10, and now we'll be right back with more.
There's Fangio right here.
Yeah, he beat him by quite a bit, as a matter of fact.
Now let's see what the team orders say. Is this contract time or is this team order time?
Well, I'll tell you what, if I were P.J. Jones, I'd certainly not want to give up the lead, knowing that I could probably win the race, but team orders are team orders, and you think about your future perhaps a little bit more than you do the immediate race.
Difficult situation for a young, aggressive driver as good as P.J. Jones is. How do you give up the lead of a race? Remember, this is the biggest race he has ever been in to win, or in a winning situation. How do you give that up to satisfy team orders? What a difficult situation.
Well, the number 45 Camel Lights car of Morgan and Riggins has broken a gearbox, and that car is near the festival turns.
And you can actually see he's run over some of the marker cones on the festival turn. It's stuck under the car there. In fact, well, it looks like as if he got off backwards. Maybe that gearbox locked up on the way in. But here's our leader, P.J. Jones, in the number 98, not following team orders, or let's say not following the script as he might be at the moment. Because of superior pit stop work, he got in and got out of the pits faster than Fangio. In-laps and out-laps can be critical when you're trying to beat somebody, when you can't make the pass on the racetrack.
Well, here's Fangio, and there are no cars between the two at the moment. But Jones does have the lead at this time, and it's a couple of seconds. A little puff of smoke there, maybe from the 98.
Oh, that could be dangerous. We saw earlier, well, in fact, many times this afternoon, P.J. Jones was a long way behind Fangio, and he was able to close that gap up. So the chances are he may have a slightly faster car as the Lights leader in the pits.
Davy Jones spins the Jaguar. Action all over the place here in the pit area and on the racetrack. Jones spins in the festival turns, but gets going again.
Well, well, well. Davy Jones having another eventful day. He will be mad at himself. Look at, he goes wide again, very, very wide, and David Tennyson slices down the inside. But Jones, I think, is in trouble. This is the Camel Lights leader now. They've made the driver change. Dan Marvin is in this car, but Davy Jones, I think, is definitely in trouble.
There is Davy Jones, and indeed the car does not appear to be under power. There's a lot of damage shown to that car on the right side.
Looks like there is damage. Now the curbing is very high as he goes through this left-handed. Now look what he does here. Drops the clutch. Look at this. Watch this. Drops the clutch. Spins it. Does a 180. It gets on his way. But there is something fundamental wrong with that car. He is on his way to talk with... Oh, look at the bodywork. Look at the bodywork. All broken along the front side of that car.
Yep.
He has definitely made heavy contact with something or somebody.
He was in 6th position. Davy Jones in the Jaguar. Came into this race in 2nd position.
Engine is dead.
Driver points.
Yeah, engine is dead. He's not even going to make it all the way around. So there is a serious blow to Jaguar's championship hopes for the drivers and for the manufacturers championship.
And look at this, the 63 car, the 4th place machine in the lights division, also is having trouble. That's Jim Downing's mount.
And in fact, I think Tim McAdam was in that car. They did make the pit stop earlier on, and I believe they did make the driver change. That is another of the Buick Kudzu cars. Jim Downing builds these cars. They're designed by, I believe, the Jim Garrett in Atlanta. Very good cars, show well this year, but their day is done.
Well, I believe the race was at Watkins Glen earlier this year, and we saw a lot of attrition, a lot of cars dropping out, and that appears what we have here this afternoon. And I don't see Fangio catching up with PJ very quickly.
And in fact, it was Sam Garrett who was the designer of that Kudzu, not Jim Garrett. But you're absolutely right. Fangio is not closing on PJ Jones.
Jones has the lead at Portland International Raceway. We'll be right back. IMSA Racing live on ESPN this Sunday afternoon or evening, depending where you are in these United States. Here is the leader of the race, the Toyota, driven by P.J. Jones, with an advantage over his teammate, Juan Fangio, going for his 4th consecutive IMSA GTP contest. And there is the interval between the two. Jones got the lead on a faster pit stop. Now, the question is, has the team strategy changed? We heard Marty say a few minutes ago that Dan says that he wants Fangio to win this race. Marty, now what's he say?
Best laid plans of mice and men. Now what do you do here, Coach? Your pit crew sort of gave the lead to PJ. What's the team orders now?
Well, I've thought of all sorts of things, Marty. I ruled out firing PJ. That won't work.
What about the whole pit crew?
Yeah, that's right. That's big. But you know, with Davy dropping out, why it doesn't seem so bad to let one come in second. If of course, assuming everything goes along as it is.
So you're going to let PJ go?
I think we ought to. What do you think?
Hey, my first decision in racing: let the kid have his first win.
Well, he's been very dominant. He's driving our newest car, and Jim Hamilton and Hiro Fujimori, our setup guys, aero guys, have got I think it's an excellent setup. Not taking anything away from PJ. He's doing a terrific job. But I reckon he ought to go ahead and do it if he can.
Well, I want to thank you for allowing me to be part of the decision, and I'll take some of the credit when he does.
These drivers that he has, and it's seems like quite a decision to decide which of your two drivers is going to win. But
well, the cold, hard decision is you slow PJ down, because you cannot take a chance when there's such a vital championship at stake here. However, Dan Gurney was a driver. He knows how difficult it is for a driver to get into this position, in this situation. So hats off to him also for considering the fact that he wants to let this battle take care of itself on the racetrack.
Now the car and the driver in 2nd position in both points and the manufacturer's points. The Jaguar, driven by Davy Jones, is running in 6th position at the moment. There's the 83 car of Jeff Brabham in the pits. Rick DeBrule is right there.
You know, it's too bad. Jeff Brabham has actually had a pretty darn good day, except for one minor problem when that front hub broke going to the festival turn. Other than they sent him back out on his way in 17.3 seconds. If only they hadn't had that problem.
Yeah, you're right. A good pit stop for Jeff Braam back out onto the racetrack.
Very difficult situation for a driver to lose so many laps and to still go out and give it all for 2 hours in hot, humid, difficult, physically difficult situation, difficult conditions. But, however, remember, you can still pick up valuable championship points even if you're back in 4th, 5th, or 6th place. And that could make a big difference to your end-of-season prize money check from Camel.
P.J. Jones in the number 98 Toyota is leading this race.
And we mentioned it is hot and humid. It's just about in the low 80s now. P.J. Jones said they do not have cool suits in these cars. Yes, they do get very hot inside, but the whole cool suit, by the time you put the fluid in, put the skull cap on and the suit on, weighs about 40 pounds. They said that's too heavy.
And the number 4 placing car of David Tennyson, number 19, is in the pits. Rick?
David Tennyson has had a very eventful day on the track. At one point, he got bumped by Price Cobb. That closed off the exhaust system. They had to bring him in, fix that. Then he got tapped on the pace lap. That broke the rear wing. They had to fix that. This is a calm pit stop for these guys. They're simply going to change 4 tires and send them out on their way. This is the kind of pit stop they like to see.
Tennyson smokes the tires, tearing down pit road and out onto the racetrack. 5 5th place finishes this year in the IMSA GTP competition. There is P.J. Jones. He started in the go-karts, then worked his way up through the midgets, the sprint cars, has competed in the American Racing Series, the Indy Lights. We asked him about his career, how it's improved in the last few years.
Well, I think track time. I mean, you know, experience. I mean, just knowing, you know, how hard you can push. I mean, this is really the first ground effects car I've ever driven, and you know, it was mostly flat bottom stuff, and you're just learning where the edge is, and without stepping over it, and that's the hardest, and that just comes with experience and track time. And when you've got Davy Jones, you got Juan Fonio, Jeff Braam, and all the rest of them that've been doing this for the last 5 or 10 years and been at the same tracks with the same cars, they're tough. I mean, they're good racers. Like I said, you can put them in the top of the IndyCar field. I mean, the IMSA guys are just as good as the IndyCar guys, and it's tough. It's a tough crowd to step into.
Well, PJ has certainly shown that he is right among the top drivers in this division with the performance that he has turned in this afternoon on the racetrack and in the pit area. Jones leads at Portland International Raceway. Back after this. GI Joe's Camel IMSA Grand Prix presented by Nissan at Portland International Raceway. Live coverage on this Sunday afternoon on ESPN. I'm Bob Jenkins along with Derek Daly, Marty Reed, and Rick DeBrule. And we are watching a domination by the Toyota cars. First, Juan Fonio led the race and held it until he made his second pit stop. And quicker pit work by P.J. Jones' team got him out first. And he has about a 2.5-second lead now over the Fonio car. Make that 9 seconds, huh?
Was about 2.5 seconds, but he is stretching out over half a second a lap, so he is in a dominant position. You can see the interval all the way back to Fonio. Now it's probably over 10 seconds. We'll get that for you as they go by the start-finish line here. But P.J. Jones has looked strong all weekend here. He was quickest in most of the sessions. However, Fonio did pip him for the pole position run.
Let's check in the Camel Lights division. There is the leader, Dan Marvin, now driving this number 49 Acura car. It is the leader of the Camel Lights division.
This is the team that definitely do want to make it up into the GTP ranks. They had hoped, in fact, to be in GTP ranks this year, but their program is associated with Acura and Honda, and because Honda had a huge development program going on in Formula One, trying to catch the Renault-powered Williams cars, that any possibility of going GTP racing got put on the long finger. However, they're trying to accelerate that program for next year. They're looking at various chassis. They told me they looked at the Lola chassis, possibly buying a Jaguar chassis, or maybe one of the new P35 Nissan chassis. So the chassis are available if they can get the engine program. They are very excited about having the possibility of a V10 engine in GTP racing next year.
a very young but experienced race driver. Actually has raced, in addition to cars on the ground, airplanes. He was the champion twice in the what used to be called the W car competition. He won his first race in a Lights machine back in 1988. Dan Marvin, who makes his home in Berkeley, California.
These cars weigh 1,800 pounds. Now, they're called Camel Lights. They're not actually that much lighter than some of the light GTP cars, but they are very much scaled down. Smaller gearboxes, smaller bodywork, narrower track. So they are, in fact, light on the bodywork side, not on the overall weight side compared to some of the GTP or the Group C cars.
About to be overtaken by, was that the Porsche?
Oscar Lowry in the Yost car. Just look how much faster that is. There's David Tennyson again. Now here's P.J. Jones about to put another lap on David Tennyson and Lowry. P.J. Jones continuing to increase his lead over Fangio. It's about 0.2 of a second per lap that he's increasing his lead on Fangio. How can Dan Gurney tell him to slow down? He has the bit between his teeth, and he is on his way.
And there is the interval between first and second. This is Fangio in the 99 car. And we have, what, about 22 minutes to go in this race.
22 minutes is a long, long way in racing because so much can happen. Remember, these Toyotas, they're four-cylinder engines, we mentioned earlier. Very, very highly stressed. However, they have proved to be reliable, particularly this year. B.J. Jones said these cars are actually quite heavy to drive. Now, remember, these cars do have power steering. They have power steering in the Toyotas. Otherwise, he thinks it would be almost physically impossible to drive these because they get so hot inside.
So it's just a drive in Delta Park on a Sunday afternoon, huh?
Well, let me tell you, I know from experience, driving something like this, an enclosed car with very little airflow, it is far from a drive in Delta Park. Well, look at this. Jones needs to be careful now in traffic because when you see Oscar Lowry trying to fish for a gear there, you can hear him rev the engine. But all P.J. Jones needs now is for one of the back markers, well, not necessarily back markers, one of the people he's lapping, not to be aware of exactly where he is. And things happen so fast, he can put himself in big trouble. There's the blue flag again. The flag marshal says to Lowry, the race leader is behind you. Be aware of it and move over if you can. Which he didn't.
And the Porsche, the Lowry car, is not real anxious to pull over, maybe to give PJ some room, but the Tennyson car, the 19 car, is, of course, in the same category. He's a little reluctant to let him go.
Up over the curb in this very fast left-right flick. They came through there at 125 miles an hour in practice, then down to 70 miles an hour exiting that last right-hander, and then they reached speeds. Look at this. Well, I think Lowry, for sure he pulled off to the middle of the road to let P.J. Jones go down the outside. But now look at Lowry, about to have his hands full with David Tennyson.
Jones makes the pass successfully, hangs on to the lead after 88 laps. On IMSA race on ESPN Speed World. Well, this coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we'll have extensive coverage of the Senior PGA, the Northville Long Island Classic from Meadowbrook Club in Jericho, New York. Total purse $450,000. George Archer is the two-time defending champion. Others expected there: Chichi Rodriguez, Lee Trevino, and others. Friday, 4 until 4 o'clock Eastern, Saturday, 5:30 Eastern, and Sunday at 2 o'clock Eastern time this coming weekend. Now, here is a situation that developed between David Tennyson and Oscar Lowry.
Tennyson goes down the inside. Now look what happens here. Lowry turns in, hits the rear wing of Tennyson, and gets a little bit of damage on that right side nose cone of Lowry's car. In fact, it caused him to make a pit stop.
We talked about how Lowry would not necessarily be willing to give up or give ground.
Yeah, but I don't understand why he did that. You could clearly see that Tennyson was actually well past him and on his way into the apex of the corner. Unless Tennyson, I mean, it's difficult to see from that camera position whether Tennyson slid out a little bit into Lowry. However, contact was made, and there was some bodywork damage that did necessitate a pit stop for Lowry.
Well, the interval between first and second is about 9.5 seconds. Let's go down to the pits and Rick DeBrule.
Well, I tell you, David Tennyson's crew is on pins and needles right now. This season so far, he has finished 5th 5 times. He has not finished better than 5th. Right now, he's running in 4th. This would be the best for the season. They said so far that they had put a lock on the position 5, and they're hoping they can finally break out of it this weekend. But the way things have been going today, it may need a little luck.
He's got a strong showing today. 4th position at the moment with now about 15, make that 16 minutes to go in this 2-hour contest.
Definitely manhandles this car through the infield section here. We still see that rear wing begin to bobble and waver a little, but I don't like to see that. However, I'm sure they'll look at that at the end of this race. But David Tennyson still running very, very strongly. And now Fangio about to put another lap on David Tennyson.
Well, it appears as if Juan Manuel Fangio, number 99, who is running second, will not move his string to 4 in a row. In terms of history in IMSA competition, John Fitzpatrick in 1980 had 4 in a row. Jeff Brabham in 89. John Paul Jr. won 5 in a row in years 81 and 82. And Jeff had 8 in a row in 1988. But this 3-race streak that Juan Fangio is on appears to be in jeopardy of being stopped by his teammate, P.J. Jones.
And it really is amazing how Toyota have got to be this fast, considering now that the Jaguar was so dominant when it came here from Europe earlier this year when it came for the Miami race. We mentioned it in the opening. When people saw that Jaguar, and believe me, it is the absolute state-of-the-art racing car. Carbon fiber everywhere. The car looks superb. They call it a Formula One car with a roof and with bodywork on. Well, I'm not sure exactly it's that, but it surely is a state-of-the-art car. However, Toyota put their nose to the grindstone, and they are the team that really took the fight back to Jaguar, developing what they had, making their cars go faster, and now they're in a position to look down the pit lane and say, hey, we're winning now. We're the fastest team. We have the best setup, and they have.
This MK3 Toyota chassis won its first race at this event a year ago at Portland. Toyota has won 3 or more IMSA races in the last 3 seasons. Now, here's some statistics on Fangio. 8 wins in the last 14 events. Top 4 finishes in 7 of the 9 races this season. And as we indicated, 3 consecutive wins. New Orleans, Watkins Glen, and last week at Laguna Seca. The second place Camel Lights car is coming in for a pit stop. This is the number 48 car, and here's Marty Reed.
Wayne Taylor, this is going to be real fast because they're in a battle for position with Paul Devin in the number 17. They need fuel. They came in, remember, early and made the change. There is the stop, no tire change, and he's back underway.
Wayne Taylor takes that car back onto the racetrack.
Wayne, of course, had hoped to continue the BRM GTP program, our Group C program. They brought it to Watkins Glen. The BRM, of course, a great name from the past, still painted in British racing green. The new car that they now have developed. Well, developed's probably not the right word because they built it so late. They had no test time on the car. It did make a couple of appearances over here, but it really is not in race-ready form. So we see Wayne Taylor back on the market and now running for the Acura Comtech.
And Wayne Taylor was the pole sitter in this race last year, driving the Chevy Intrepid, the car that won in New Orleans last year. They're the top 5 at Portland International. Portland International Raceway. This is Robbie Knievel, and his goal was to jump 25 vehicles. This was here at Portland International. Robbie Knievel, let's see if he makes it. Up and over. Beautiful. Robbie Knievel successful in his jump of 25 vehicles here at Portland International last Friday night. One of the pre-race pieces of excitement. Nice landing by Robbie. Well, live down on pit road, here's Marty Reed with the man.
I got to tell you guys, he does something that you'll never get me talked into. Robbie, 25 cars. You wanted to do it for the world record with no hands, but the wind just didn't permit it. But it was still spectacular. The crowd was going crazy.
Well, I keep hearing about these records being broken. You know, I did 23 cars in Las Vegas before I jumped the fountains back in '87. No hands, 153.5 feet. As soon as I hear about somebody breaking that record, then I'll do it. But I've had some bad luck with these 25 cars. What happens, your rear wheel just starts driving into the front wheel so hard, and the front wheel's slowing down, and that crosses you up and screws you up. So first jump I did 180 feet. I said, Portland, I'm going to do another one. And I just crossed up and screwed up. I had a pleasure of meeting Unser Jr. and spending some time with him here, and Mike Neely in Global Events. I'm having fun. I'm going back out on the boat today, cruise the river. I'm glad my show's over.
He's laid back, chilled out, and having a great time. He comes up to me and he says, I've been around the pits. Who's winning?
It's got to be Toyota.
It's this guy right here, P.J. Jones in the Toyota.
He didn't jump 25 cars, but he sure jumped his teammate in a great in-and-out pit strategy that gave him the lead. However, we saw earlier, and we said it earlier, it always looked, I think he missed a gear right there. I think he missed a gear. However, it won't cause him a problem. But P.J. Jones has looked the strongest car in this race right from the early going.
Indeed, Fonio led most of the race, but every time PJ would fall behind for one reason or another, when he was off the track a couple of times or got caught in traffic, he was always able to close in on Fonio. And then when they came in for their second pit stops, Jones' pit crew got him out about 2 seconds faster than Fonio, and that put him about 2 seconds faster ahead on the track, and he has lengthened that now to just about 9 seconds, give or take a few tenths.
Give or take a few seconds wouldn't make any difference at the moment, because look how easily he backs off to let the traffic go through the last turn, and then he comes out because he knows he has a car that's fast enough. I believe that was his teammate just coming into the top of the picture there. But you know, dominant performances like this, well, you can be sure that other teams will now say this Toyota is so much faster than everything else that it should really have to weigh more. That's how IMSA keeps parity with a lot of these teams, with different weight combinations. The Toyota at the moment weighs 1,830 pounds. And for example, the third place car at the moment now is Chip Robinson. His car weighs 2,000 pounds. So almost 200 pounds heavier for Chip Robinson. And that can be a big time waster when you have to carry that 200 pounds of weight around.
A lot of people have talked about the future of IMSA. And they announced their 1993 rules package just this past week. They already have a television deal signed for 1993. So many people, including Mr. Rafoff, think that IMSA has a very bright future, and we would agree.
And what IMSA tries to do, of course, it tries to match their regulations and allow as many different types of cars to run as possible. They would love to see a lot of the European Group C cars come over here and race, particularly in the big events, and they will write the rules and have written the rules to accommodate those type of cars coming over here.
The 55 car just passed through your frame. That's Dave Roca, Steve Cameron, the co-driver. The 17 car there is the Paul Devin machine. That is 10th place at the moment. There's the Torno Porsche, driven by Oscar Leroy, coming down. Here comes one of the Nissans. This one, of course, driven by Chip Robinson, number 84.
And they actually had a pit stop. Frank Vila is now in that number 30 Momo car. So they've actually used 3 drivers during this whole event. Frank Vila may not be a name that's well recognized here in the States. He actually came from the Audi German touring car championship. I knew it was one of those.
Yeah, Audi apparently pulled out of that series, and so he came over to the United States to drive some IMSA races, and we saw just about everybody that's on the track right now.
He's not going to have much time in that car because he only got in about 5 laps ago, but it will at least give him a bit of a flavor for what IMSA GTP racing is all about. Remember Audi earlier on? They actually put an engine into the Momo car that came from Germany. However, it wasn't that successful, and it did go back home for further development.
Time is drawing short in this IMSA Grand Prix. About 6 minutes remain now until the checkered flag falls. Here are the top 10 at the moment as we take a look at beautiful Mount Hood nearby. Back in a moment. 5 minutes remaining in this 2-hour IMSA Camel Grand Prix from Portland International Raceway. P.J. Jones on his way to his first solo Grand Prix Camel victory here at Portland. He leads his teammate Juan Fangio.
No damage to the car. We saw him go off the road earlier in that infield section, got off the road, didn't do any damage, just went grass putting for a short time, lost a lot of ground to his teammate, who then, about 5 or 6 laps later, went off the road 2 corners later, and P.J. Jones made up all the time that he lost. But then he has dominated since his second pit stop, and Fangio can do nothing except hope that he can at least finish second and continue to extend his lead in this championship, because Davy Jones is out and will score no points today.
We have seen him many times on Saturday Night Thunder running the short track open wheel cars. P.J. Jones, and he's about to register a major victory here this afternoon. Now there's the leader in Camel Lights, number 49. The Acura Spice being driven by Dan Marvin here in the closing stages of this event.
We watched Dan Marvin, but we should update you on the lead gap now is down to 4.9 seconds. So P.J. Jones is obviously being very, very careful in this traffic situation.
There's Jones coming down the backstretch and setting the car into turn number 10, and here comes second place Fonio. Indeed, there is now less distance between them, but we don't have very many more laps to go.
Not more laps. We do have a stopwatch here. We will be on them as they flash by our booth here, but Fangio is closing.
Down to about 4.5 seconds now. It was up as high as 10.20 as far as our inaccurate, somewhat inaccurate and unofficial stopwatches are concerned, but that's pretty accurate. Now it's down to 4.6.
And PJ, remember, he will be in close radio contact with his team and his crew on the pit lane. They will tell him exactly where Fangio is, so that will allow PJ to gauge just how fast he needs to go with less than 2 minutes left in this race.
You can hardly come to Portland without mentioning at this point in the race the controversy 2 years ago when the checkered flag fell a couple of or 3 or 4 laps too soon, and there was a tremendous controversy on who won that race. Jim Sidley has been hired as the official flagman for IMSA since that point, and we'll have no repeat of that little fiasco this year. But we are winding down now. Here comes PJ. We'll give you an interval between the first 2 drivers. It's just about 5 seconds now, so it's varying between 4.5 and 5.
Well, that shows that PJ is in total control. When it comes down half a second, next up he can put it back up half a second, so he is in good shape. As long as that little 4-cylinder baby keeps making the right noises, P.J. Jones could be on his way to his biggest race win yet of his very young career.
The son of Parnelli won the 1963 Indianapolis 500 and had one of the greatest careers in all of IndyCar racing when he was active, and now he sees his sons become very, very prominent in the sport. P.J. Jones about to register a major victory, and of course the other son and P.J.'s little brother Paige is also very active in the open wheelers, and we see him on Saturday Night Thunder occasionally. Here is P.J. coming off of corner number 12, and this will complete the next to last lap. One more circuit to go and the race will be history.
And Parnelli Jones sees P.J. live today because he is here, he is standing in his pits, enjoying what he sees, I'm sure, looking forward to whatever the next step P.J. will take in his career. I'm sure his dad would like him to go to the IndyCar circuit, where, of course, he became so famous. But P.J. Jones hoping to wrap up a very, very big win today.
Moving up through corner number 6.
Portland as a racetrack has been good to famous names. Unser Jr. was a second-generation driver, had his first major win here in 1984 when he won the IndyCar race. Well, P.J. Jones, another second-generation driver and a famous family name, may be about to have his major win here, first major win here.
He's at the end of the backstretch. There's turn number 10, turn number 11. The sweeping corner number 12 now brings him out on the main straightaway. P.J. Jones in number 98, the Toyota, wins the Camel Grand Prix here at Portland International Raceway. P.J. Jones is your winner. Finishing second, his teammate Juan Fangio, but Juan does not make it 4 consecutive victories. There is that's the 48 car.
48 car, of course, is Wayne Taylor is in that car. Drove right over to the other side of the racetrack to say hello or congratulations to his crew.
He'll finish second in Camel Lights. This car, the 49 car, the team car, driven by Dan Marvin, will win the Camel Lights division. And there's the checkered flag for Dan. Well, it's been an interesting race from the very opening lap and the early laps when Jeff Brabham got in trouble. Davy Jones had trouble. Fonio led. PJ got the lead, and PJ Jones wins this race here at Portland. We'll be back right after this. Cruise lines. When it comes to cruising, nobody else is in our league. By Goodyear, #1 in tires. And by Quaker State, the Big Q is one tough motor oil. PJ Jones has made his way to victory lane right here at the start-finish line, receiving congratulations, his first major win. Let's go to victory lane and Marty Reed.
I just want to say one thing here. Les Unger from Toyota giving his man a congratulatory hug. You realize 1 year ago you're in a Toyota MR2 in showroom stock, and look where you are today.
Well, Toyota, what can you say? I mean, they build the best cars. We showed it today, 1-2 finish again. And I mean, what more could you ask for? I mean, it was a perfect race car. You know, it's just I could run as hard as I wanted and stuck to the ground like glue.
Now, we knew about the team orders. You weren't supposed to get by, but the pit crew got you out faster. And then Dan's talking to us and saying, I don't know what to do. So when did you know you were given the green light?
Well, I was bitching the whole way. So on the radio, I said I was quicker. I wanted to go, and they just said, remember the big picture. And the crew got me out faster than Juan, and I mean, they won the race for us.
Victory #1 for PJ Jones. Let's go to Rick DeBrule.
Well, Juan standing here with his young son. You have to feel happy for PJ, his first victory, but you have to wonder about those points that just got away from you. Worried they're going to come back and haunt you?
Well, I think, first of all, I think it's a wonderful weekend for Toyota. Now, we did 1 and 2 for qualifying and for the race also, so that feels absolutely great for the full team. And about the point, you know, in a couple of opportunities, PJ was in between myself and the Jaguar, so they give me some point. And now, you know, I lose something here, but I think we need to be very happy. The car has a very good performance during the full race. We did second, and every point counts.
So this was payback time for PJ. The other question is, towards the end of the race, obviously you were able to stay close, but not close enough. Was he better than you?
I was trying at the end, I tell you the truth, but I was a little bit too far away to try. After the pit stop, I was a little bit involved in traffic and slowed down a little bit, and then when I tried, it was too late. But this is racing, and sometimes it's working for you, sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, I think we need to be very happy.
Juan Fangio going for the championship.
Indeed, a clean sweep here by Toyota in the G.I. Joe's Grand Prix. The top 5 finishers: Jones the winner, Fangio second, third was Chip Robinson, David Tennyson finished 4th, and Oscar Larari 5th here at Portland. And the team's beginning to pack up the equipment and head for the next race, and the fans headed out of Portland International Raceway. The top 5 finishers in the Camel Lights division: Dan Marvin the winner, Wayne Taylor finishing second. That's another clean sweep for Acura. Paul Devin third, Steve Cameron finished 4th, and Tim McAdam was 5th. Here's Marty Reed with the winner of Camel Lights.
Well, the man on your left, Parker Johnstone, teams with Dan Marvin. Parker sets a record with this victory. You realize you now have 17 Camel Light wins, and that is one better than one of your nemesis out here.
Well, I tell you, the Acura BF Goodrich Contact crew are the superstars. I just drive the car. It's these guys right here. I mean, it's great to do it in my hometown of Portland. It's great to do it for Acura and BF Goodrich. Also to have Dan Marvin with me, but my great thanks to Doug Peterson, Donner, Chris Mellon, and all the guys who have made this possible.
Dan, did you have any concern when the first pit stop didn't go 100% as planned?
Well, the first pit stop, we got real lucky on. The pace car helped us out there a lot. So while it wasn't 101% perfect, it was close enough. So it was pretty much without incident today. The car was perfect. The BFG tires were perfect. Parker did his usual perfect job for me, and I just got into the car and circulated until it was over.
And that was a perfect way to end the interview. Take it away, Bob.
Parker Johnstone and Dan Marvin, winners in the Camel Lights division here at Portland today. Now let's take a look at the GTP point standings. Fonio on top of Davy Jones by now 21 points. Jeff Braam remains third. P.J. Jones is 90 points in fourth position, and Oscar Larari 72 points in fifth position. That's after 10 races in the Camel GTP season. So Fonio with a somewhat comfortable lead in points as we head to the next race.
Yes, it is a comfortable lead, particularly when you look at how dominant this car was. This team is going to present a huge amount of problems for the manufacturer standings. As you can see here, Toyota a commanding lead now with 164. Jaguar really want to win this championship. They're a long way behind. Nissan, Porsche, and Chevrolet then round out the top 5 after 10 races.
So that's the situation here at Portland as P.J. Jones is on the podium, having won here this afternoon. We'll be back to wrap it up in just a moment.
Today, performance cars
will be Sports Center with, among other things, the highlights from the Olympics, which are officially underway now. Baseball tonight at 7 o'clock. Then it's the Twins and the Red Sox at 8 o'clock tonight on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. And following the game, another edition of Sports Center. All the times, of course, are Eastern Daylight Time. Well, let's take a look now at the Camel Lights point standings, driver standings. Parker Johnstone with 185, Dan Marvin with 158, Fermin Velez third with 141. He had a very short race here this afternoon. Andy Evans is fourth in the driver standings in Camel Lights, and Charles Morgan is in fifth position.
Well, P.J. Jones will make the headlines and be in the newspapers tomorrow morning, particularly here, probably in California, probably across the country. But to make it just even a little bit sweeter, the Camel Pyramid today was worth $40,000 bonus to P.J. Jones and the people at Toyota. So a great afternoon for P.J.
It really is. We'll take a look now at the unofficial results, the entire field rundown. There you see the top 5 with Robinson, Tennyson third and fourth. Jeff Braam, suffering that collision with the wall early going, comes back to 6th. The number 30 car, co-driver was John Paul Jr., finished in 7th position. Then we get back to the Camel Lights drivers, and the first 3 in that division finishing 8th, 9th, and 10th overall. Davy Jones in the Jaguar comes out with a 12th place finish this afternoon, and Bryce Cobb in the Mazda is 15th. Pete Halsmer in the other Mazda finishes 16th. Al Unser Jr. did not fare too well here at Portland this afternoon and finished toward the back. There's a very happy P.J. Jones, who has won here at Portland this afternoon, registering his very first important victory in IMSA Grand Prix competition. Well, we thank you for joining us here this afternoon for our race at Portland International Raceway. We, of course, will have Speed Week next Saturday night at 7:30 and Grand National Racing next Sunday afternoon here on ESPN from Indianapolis Raceway Park. Thanks to Derek Daly, Marty Reed, and Rick DeBrule for their help. Thanks for joining us for now. This is Bob Jenkins. So long, everyone.